Hello and welcome to India Global with me, Arjun Samar Mahindra. Here are the headlines we're tracking this Thursday afternoon. Citizenship versus identity debate ignited in India after MEA says passport is not valid citizenship proof. Government said it has only reiterated a decades-old existing law. We separate the facts from fiction on the show ahead. Pakistan-occupied Kashmir is refusing to stay quiet. That's right. You see, for the 17th straight day, the streets are echoing with protest slogans. Demonstrators are calling for greater autonomy, rejecting Islamabad's interference in their internal affairs. As attacks on Hindu identity grow across America, Georgia Congressman Sanford Bishop urges people to stand up against Hinduphobia, highlights how Georgia has become the first US state to adopt a resolution condemning Hinduphobia. US Second Lady Usha Vance slams New York Times for its critique on her maternity clothes. Reveals her dress cost just $8.75. Netizens rally behind relatable bargain shopping story. And New York City honors 18-year-old Romansh Mahajan who lost his life in a horse carriage accident, renames the proposed law to Romansh's law as an apology for failing to save him. Well, our top story this Thursday, viewers, is a story that's something the entire country cannot just stop talking about. In fact, the country is raging about it. You see a clarification from the Ministry of External Affairs of the MEA that an Indian passport is not conclusive proof of Indian citizenship. Now, the statement has left many asking one question. If not a passport, then what exactly? See, this evening, we separate facts from utter fiction. Here's what the government is saying first and foremost. You see, the MEA says a passport is primarily a travel document. Its legal purpose is to facilitate international travel and establish identity abroad, not to conclusively determine citizenship. Officials further say citizenship is governed by the Citizenship Act and related legal provisions, not by the passport itself. The clarification came during a briefing on passport reforms in India's expanding passport ecosystem. Now, as the news went viral, government officials were quick to clarify. First and foremost, they issued a statement insisting that this is not a new position. They say passports have never been treated as conclusive proof of citizenship. They point to the Passports Act of 1967 and legal precedents, including a Bombay High Court ruling, to argue that this has been a settled legal position for years together and not a fresh policy shift. Now, here's the thing, you see. India isn't alone. There are 7 countries that distinguish between a passport and definitive proof of citizenship. Qatar, for instance, it requires separate legal validation of nationality. Meanwhile, Malaysia, it relies on constitutional and official records beyond the passport. Speaking of Japan, it treats the Koseki family register as the primary proof of citizenship, with, of course, the passport functioning mainly as a travel document. However, the opposition is up in arms. It's not buying the centre's explanation, and so are critiques. Opposition leaders have accused the centre of creating confusion and stirring panic. Some took a swipe, saying that at this rate, the BJP membership alone may very well become the only solid proof of Indian citizenship. But it's not only the opposition. You see, critics, including veteran Indian lyricist Javed Akhtar, they called out the clarification, quote-unquote, absurd, questioning how a passport could be issued if authorities were not already convinced of the applicant's citizenship. So is this a new rule or simply an old law that's suddenly in the spotlight once again? The legal position may be decades old, but the political debate, viewers, it is only getting started. And well, Ambassador Veena Sikri joins us to lend a perspective on this raging debate. She's a distinguished former diplomat who served as India's High Commissioner not only to Bangladesh but also to Malaysia. Pleasure having you again on the show, Ambassador Sikri. My first question to you, ma'am. You see, since the Passport Act, it's been in effect from 1967, and courts have settled this decades ago. Why has a routine bureaucratic clarification suddenly triggered such widespread panic amongst normal public today?
I think there is one basic fact to be understood. It's not a question of just the Passport
Right.
Act. The basic fact is that there is something known as the Government of India Allocation of Business Rules. This is the basic government document that defines the power of each of the ministries and the allocation of work to each of these ministries. Under this allocation of business rules, it is the Home Ministry that is responsible for citizenship. And the Ministry of External Affairs does issue the passport, and you're absolutely right, it does issue the passport after a very stringent verification of all the antecedents, of your proof of residence, of your Aadhaar card, voter's card, all the others, everything is checked up. But that document cannot amount to citizenship. That is the important point, that it cannot amount to citizenship. It is only a travel document. And when you go abroad, people treat it as a nationality document that, yes, this person has come from India, etc. And of course, if the government of India finds any fraudulent statement having been made in the process of issue of that document to a particular person, then the Ministry of External Affairs can cancel your passport also. But it cannot be treated as a proof of citizenship. That is a very basic legal point. And I think that's the reason why the clarification has been made, that while the Ministry of External Affairs does issue passports on the basis of strict verification, this does not amount to proof of citizenship. That's it. And I think the Supreme Court has supported this stance as well. You know, earlier when the Aadhaar cards were being issued,
Right.
then at that time too, there was this question, will the Aadhaar card amount to citizenship? And the Supreme Court had said, no, Aadhaar card is important. Anybody resident in India can get the Aadhaar card, but it does not amount to citizenship. And I think this is a very important point that is there and which has to be taken on board for the passport.
Ambassador Sikri, one quick point here. You also pointed out, and critics are also pointing that out. In fact, you see, citizens must submit birth certificates and, they must pass police checks, so on and so forth. Now, if the underlying law hasn't changed, what makes these checks insufficient for the ultimate citizenship proof?
Well, I think one has to also refer in this case to a more recent development where the government has decided to have a national citizenship register. I think that will eventually be the ultimate proof of citizenship. And that is what is in the process of being formulated. And, all the proof, etc., that is required to be included in the National Citizenship Register, that will come up. For example, the recent process of SIR, when the elections were being held in the states, there was the intensive review of the voters list, and a lot of people in the millions were cut out of the voters list because of insufficient proof. And the Supreme Court upheld that process. They said, yes, this is a constitutionally mandated process. It has to be held from time to time, and whatever the outcome is, that's fine. So I think this is it. The government is narrowing it down because of the problem of illegal immigration into India over the decades. It's not a problem of the last year or 2 years. It's been going on for decades, 3, 4, 5 decades,
Right,
And this
Ambassador.
has created its own problem that when a person becomes an illegal immigrant in India,
Right.
they now try to get a fake Aadhaar card, they try to get a fake voter card, and sometimes they try to get a fake passport as well. So, and then they try and present that as proof of citizenship. Look, we have an Aadhaar card, so this is it. So this is a problem that India, they're trying to minimize, they're trying to, absolutely do away with the problem. Now, we have said that there will be detention centers in each state.
Right.
To push all the illegal immigrants. And we've seen because of that, many people who had come from Bangladesh are now going back voluntarily because they don't want to be in a detention center. They'll be a proclaimed offender and so on. And their future visits will be probably curtailed. So this process of formulating the National Citizen Register is an ongoing process. It will take maybe a few years more, couple of years. But this will be, I think, the final reference point.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Ambassador Sikri, for joining us once again. And I hope to have you back on the show sooner than later. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, shifting our focus, viewers, you see across the US, incidents targeting Hindus, well, they've become increasing cause of worry and concerns across the country, as we've been showing you through the weeks here on India Global every weekday. Talk about attacks on Hindu temples or even anti-Hindu vandalism and racist remarks and incidents like the Frisco episode. Many Indian Americans say prejudice against their community is becoming harder and harder to ignore with each and every passing day. But amid these disturbing headlines, hundreds of them, there's finally a glimmer of hope. You see, Georgia has become the first US state to adopt a resolution condemning Hinduphobia. Congressman Sanford Bishop has praised the landmark move, urging Americans to, quote, stand against Hinduphobia. Here's a detailed report.
You cannot understand that the God that you claim you are worshiping is the devil.
Anti-Hindu rhetoric, anti-Hindu rallies, and targeted attacks in the Hindu community.
Look, hate has no place in the United States. I don't care if it's directed toward Hindus, Muslims, Jews, regardless of your religion, regardless of nationality, we got to stand shoulder to shoulder against bigotry, prejudice, and discrimination toward anybody.
Hinduphobia is on the rise across America. In recent weeks, this hate has found its way both online and offline. But despite these troubling incidents, there's finally a glimmer of hope. Thanks to people like Congressman Sanford Bishop. Speaking at an event for the Indian American community, he condemned the religious bigotry and praised his home state Georgia's leadership in taking the first legislative step against Hinduphobia.
Report that Georgia became the first state in the nation to pass a resolution in our General Assembly to condemn anti-Hindu hate. I've also joined in supporting a similar resolution here in the United States House of Representatives, sponsored by my colleague, Representative Sri Thanadar of Michigan. Again, I am pleased to be with you today. I welcome you to Washington.
The resolution highlighted by Congressman Bishop is House Resolution 701, adopted by the Georgia General Assembly. It's widely seen as a landmark step in formally recognizing anti-Hindu discrimination while encouraging greater religious understanding and inclusion. The resolution defines Hinduphobia as a set of antagonistic, destructive, and derogatory attitudes and behaviors towards Hinduism. It also received bipartisan backing from both the Republican and Democratic lawmakers. The bill reflects a broader consensus on addressing religious intolerance and concerns over hate crimes targeting Hindu communities. While a resolution alone cannot erase prejudice overnight, supporters believe it marks an important first institutional acknowledgement of a growing concern. The question now is whether the rest of America follows Georgia's lead or not. Bureau Report, NDTV World. Meanwhile, we turn our gaze westwards, where the New York Times is facing widespread ridicule over a high-minded fashion critique that was instantly dismantled by an $8.75 purchase receipt. The publication attempted to tie the pregnancy wardrobes of several Trump administration figures to a broader political agenda. Instead, they ran straight into an old Navy clearance rack. You see, the dispute stems from an essay written by fashion critic Vanessa Friedman. It's titled The Politics and Power of Pregnancy Image. Now, the piece scrutinized Second Lady Usha, Vance, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, and Katie Miller, noting all three are currently expecting or recently gave birth. She argued that their form-fitting maternity clothes were part of a calculated visual effort to promote the Trump administration's fertility and family platforms. The primary example cited was a stretchy coral dress worn by Vance in a family video. The Times treated the outfit as an intentional aesthetic statement. Now, Vance bypassed standard political messaging to address the critique. She posted on social media platform X that she could not wait to read the paper's upcoming analysis of her elastic waistband pants and compression socks as well. To neutralize the political narrative completely, the Second Lady even published a screenshot of her online order invoice. Now, the document reveals the clothing choice was entirely logistical, not ideological by any means. The mass-market maternity dress had in fact been marked down significantly from its original $49 price tag. After clearances and automated promotional discounts, the final transaction value, the amount was exactly $8.75. Public response also shifted quickly in Vance's favor. You see, commentators noted that the three concurrent pregnancies Within a large organization, it represents a normal biological coincidence rather than a strategic media campaign. Many online users also defended Vance, stating that sharing a steep discount when an outfit is highlighted is a highly relatable, everyday response. But what did the Times do? Well, the Times has not issued an official response to the pushback, proving that when it comes to predicting political conspiracies from a clearance track, their theory was completely, well, it was cut from a different cloth entirely. Well, with that, time we step into a short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Welcome back, viewers. We stay with the US, where over a week after his death, New York City has chosen to honor Romansh Mahajan, the 18-year-old teen who lost his life in a horse carriage accident recently. A proposed bill to phase out horse-drawn carriages will now be called Romansh's Law in memory of Romansh Mahajan. Remember, he had traveled to New York with his family to celebrate his high school graduation, but he died while trying to save his mother during a runway horse carriage accident. The incident reignited New York's long-running debate over horse-drawn carriages in the iconic Central Park. Now the city has chosen to ensure that his courage is remembered, and it's remembered forever. Here's a report.
Everybody's okay? Oh my God.
He had traveled halfway across the world to celebrate one of the happiest milestones of his life.
Are you guys okay?
18-year-old Romansh Mahajan had just graduated from high school, and New York was meant to be a celebration with his family. But in a matter of seconds, the joyful vacation turned into an unimaginable tragedy. A runaway horse-drawn carriage spiraled out of control inside Central Park. Romansh leapt to save his mother. He suffered critical injuries and passed away the following day. A week after the heartbreaking tragedy, City Council member Christopher Mott announced that a proposed law will be renamed to honor Romansh, a tribute not just to a life lost, but to a final act of selfless bravery.
Are you guys okay?
Here's what we know. A long-pending proposal, once known as Rider's Law, will now be renamed to Romansh's Law. The law was originally named after Rider, a carriage horse that collapsed in 2022. The bill seeks to phase out horse-drawn carriages in New York City. If enacted, horse-drawn carriage operations could end from June 1, 2028. According to advocates, there have been multiple horse-related incidents around Central Park over the past year. Romansh's death has now become the latest and perhaps the most heartbreaking chapter in that debate.
Are you guys okay?
While no law can bring Romansh Mahajan back, but by ensuring that his name becomes part of a movement to prevent similar tragedies, New York has chosen to remember not just how he died, but why he will be remembered.
Are you guys okay?
Bureau Report, NDTV World.
Oh my God.
Well, on to this Thursday's Quick Take segment, viewers. The first Quick Take, you see, global tech giant Amazon CEO Andy Jassy is currently in India. A country's company continues to invest in heavily. Only earlier today, he met Prime Minister Modi. The meeting not only covered Amazon's long-term role in India, but also progress on pledges that directly support the PM's Viksit Bharat vision. The CEO also shared Amazon's plans to invest $48 billion in India between 2026, that's this year, and 2030. Meanwhile, he also joined executives from leading Indian companies to discuss how companies in India can build for customers here and around the world.
Prime Minister's vision over the last 12 years is just remarkable, and you can see it in the development of the country and how important the country is in almost every aspect around the world. And when I have the good fortune to spend time with him, He has so many ideas for how to continue to make the country better on every dimension that it's very noteworthy, it's very remarkable, and it's impressive.
Commerce and Industries Minister Piyush Goyal has kicked off his visit to the United Kingdom. Now, this comes ahead of the all-important July 15 deadline for the operationalization of the India-UK Comprehensive Economic and Trade Agreement, or the CETA. During the visit, Mr. Goyal is expected to hold a high-level bilateral meeting with his British counterpart, Peter Kyle. The meeting will focus on implementing CETA's tariff liberalization commitments. This will eventually provide enhanced opportunities to Indian exports across the UK. Now, finally, before we leave, we want to leave you with some visuals of the Indian Army participating in the 23rd edition of the multilateral joint military exercise, the Conquest 2026. And where was this happening? Well, in Mongolia. Thank you very much for watching News and Updates. Well, they come.